And now you have to ask yourself, how did 50 come into the possession of Diddy's footage for Diddy's documentary about Diddy?
A lot of insight. And, this documentary is about people being able to tell their truth or tell their version.
For years, Katt Williams was often dismissed as the outspoken comedian who simply said whatever came to mind. Many people laughed at his remarks, treated them as exaggerations, and quickly moved on. That perception changed dramatically in January 2024 when Katt appeared on Club Shay with Shannon Sharpe. Almost overnight, the conversation online shifted. The jokes stopped, and people started paying attention. What made the interview different wasn't the humor. It was the timing. Many of Katt's statements seemed to line up with events that were unfolding in real time. He was no longer talking about comedy or industry rivalries. Instead, he spoke about power, manipulation, and an entertainment industry that, according to him, survives by keeping certain truths hidden. He also suggested that if major revelations about Diddy ever surfaced, they wouldn't involve just one person. Months later, 50 Cent released his documentary Shaw Combs, The Reckoning. The project generated major attention, presenting clips, timelines, and patterns that had quietly circulated for years. However, viewers noticed something unusual. Several familiar names were missing from the story, left unexplored and unmentioned, almost as if they had been deliberately removed from the narrative. That omission brought Katt Williams back into the spotlight. Online discussions suggested that he may have predicted this very outcome. Through previous interviews, jokes, and subtle comments, Katt seemed to imply that 50 Cent might have faced pressure to leave certain people out of the documentary, not because there was no evidence, but because of the influence those individuals allegedly hold. One particular comment from Katt in early 2024 continues to stand out. He claimed there were people in the entertainment industry who simply could not be challenged. Not just a few, he specifically mentioned the number 7. At the time, the remark seemed vague and confusing. But as Diddy's legal troubles intensified and the documentary was released, people returned to Katt's words. They replayed the interview, re-examined his statements, and slowly a much larger theory began to take shape.
Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams going to show?
The theory itself was fairly simple. Diddy was not operating alone. According to the speculation, he was protected by multiple layers of influence, including several high-profile figures whose reputations made them nearly impossible to challenge. Katt never provided a complete list. He never publicly identified all 7 individuals he was referring to, but that didn't stop people online from trying to fill in the blanks. As often happens, the internet stepped in to connect the pieces. Discussions spread rapidly, and countless theories began to emerge. Among the names that repeatedly surfaced in those conversations was Snoop Dogg.
From Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's downloading right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bit that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these are dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold up. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we got to stop it, man. We stop that. We stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my peoples.
For real, that's what we came in for. We came in and light it up and ride it up. We make music.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfuckers, they got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York. Then the second one.
what you think about Suge comments. And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay. You know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion like, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac. You know, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual.
Many people were quick to point out that Snoop had openly spoken for years about attending Diddy's parties and events. It wasn't something mentioned once or twice. It came up repeatedly over a long period of time. Old interviews, jokes, and archived footage highlighted just how closely their circles overlapped. As online discussions continued to grow, more rumors surfaced, including claims connected to Ollie Carter and stories from the past that suddenly resurfaced. None of these claims were ever confirmed, but the sheer amount of conversation led many people to wonder why Snoop's name was completely absent from the documentary. Some speculated that mentioning him would have triggered major backlash, not only from fans, but also from powerful industry relationships. Snoop is more than just a musician. He represents a massive business brand and a cultural icon with support across multiple industries. To some observers, that status seemed to place him beyond public scrutiny. At the same time, Kevin Hart's name caught many viewers by surprise. Online theories began focusing on his early career and the people he was connected to during that period, particularly around events often referred to as flavor camp. These gatherings were frequently linked to Diddy and described by some as places where aspiring talent tried to gain a foothold in the entertainment industry. As a result, fans started revisiting Kevin Hart's early comedy material. Certain jokes suddenly struck some viewers differently, not as proof of anything, but as moments that raised fresh questions about what he may have seen or experienced. Online discussions also suggested that including Kevin Hart in the documentary could have created serious legal and professional complications. His career is tied to numerous productions, contracts, and major studios, making the situation far more complex. Once again, nothing was ever confirmed. Instead, there was simply a noticeable lack of answers. And in that silence, speculation continued to grow, where clear explanations never arrived.
The awards went off without a hitch last night. A sense of that there. No, inside everything was fine. Outside everything was fine. And Kevin Hart decided that he was going to make jokes about, well, I mean, he's the host, right? So you have to sort of roast a little bit about someone who's in the audience because, well, this person is in a prison, actually right now sitting in a courtroom, and that's Diddy. Yes, he didn't say his name, but it was very clear to everyone who he was talking about here. Watch the reactions in the room.
Diddy was a big part of this culture. You know, right. His after parties, were a part of the BET experience. So, life comes at you fast, but, Kevin had to address the elephant in the room.
By the way, we should say the Diddy after parties that happen after award shows, that's not what the trial is about. Those weren't freak-offs. The trial is something separate, but still nobody wanted to be seen as laughing at him.
Maybe perhaps the quietest name connected to the situation is Mace, but for many people, his role seems especially significant. His history with Bad Boy Records is well documented, shaped by contract disputes, public disappointment, and eventually a noticeable step away from the spotlight. When allegations surrounding Diddy began making headlines, many expected Mace to speak publicly. He didn't. That silence quickly became a story in itself. Some fans believe Mace knows far more than he has ever revealed publicly. Others think he simply chose peace and stability rather than reopening old chapters from the past. According to online speculation, his connection to the situation was too complicated and too close to the center of everything. Bringing him into the conversation would have meant revisiting events and relationships that could never be easily put to rest again.
Kevin Hart.
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay.
The internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and a narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You didn't hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians, then. Cause you ain't hear that?
That was cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It was cool, but I didn't hear that one. Must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
You know, he would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal, for sure.
But you got to realize this, man. People who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You got to understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities that go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties. I was bodyguarding one of the girls. So what I'm saying is that it's rampant, and this was years ago. This was over 20 years ago. It's rampant in the music industry. It's rampant in Hollywood, film, pictures, and anything.
Can I tell you a story, Killer? I don't think I ever told you this story. This is what Puff taught me. One time I walked in when I was fresh off the streets. I got signed to Bad Boy. I had these fresh Air Nikes on, and then had on Air Nikes too, brand new. I made a mistake and stepped on his sneaker, and the dirt was on his laces, on his white Airs. I said, man, my bad, because I had stepped in some dirt. You know, the nigga came back, put his feet in the dirt, and stepped all over my sneakers. I said, yo, what are you doing? He said, my bad. I said, yo. The moral of the story is, nobody just want to hear you say you're back.
Meek Mill's name entered the conversation after an audio clip surfaced online. The clears throat recording spread rapidly and immediately sparked widespread debate. Some people dismissed it entirely, while others took the claims more seriously. Meek denied any wrongdoing, but by that point, the discussion had already taken on a life of its own. Online speculation suggested that directly including Meek in the documentary could have put the entire project at risk. The concerns ranged from potential legal disputes and defamation claims to the kind of media backlash that a major platform like Netflix may have preferred to avoid. Within rumor circles, this became one of the clearest examples of material that may have been left out. Not because it lacked relevance, but because it carried a greater risk to the documentary's release and overall success.
The day before the incident at the celebrity basketball game that someone was coming for Puffy and Biggie. And another line that May said that caught my attention, man, was him saying that never found the killer. Why is there? How do you feel about him saying that? Because it sounds like he's referring to Biggie getting killed in LA, and Puffy, he's currently living in LA right now. And why does he feel so comfortable living somewhere that Biggie got killed at, knowing that they never found the killer and the murder is still unsolved?
Well, on all honestly, brother, you would have to ask him that. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm looking at it like that, then I know, those mansions are heavily guarded, one. Two, he wasn't getting the love that he would get. I don't think he's getting love in LA. I don't know. He said he owns LA, he runs LA, he runs Miami, and he runs New York. So by him running LA, as he say he does, I would feel comfortable too. You know what I'm saying? If I knew for a fact that the person they got, and that was enough to call back all of everything, I would feel that comfortable too. But I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't go there. I'd do business and get on out of there. If I was still afraid, I don't think he may have not ever been afraid. You understand? Because he never acted like he was afraid for whatever reason it was. I can't.